We are broadcasting in 4K. Okay, I want to show you. I'm doing some work on the RMZ 250. This is a 2007 model. I want to show you, this might interest somebody that has an RMZ 250. So I got the case apart, and that was a struggle, but I'm going to show you these little filters in there, because there was one of these filters when you change the motor oil, and that one sticks right over here, and you can remove that one when you change the motor oil. It's off on the side of the case over here, but there's another one inside here that is not removable, and it's just like the one that's removed, you can remove, but this one is just sandwiched in between the case and you can never remove it. It's weird. And this one had all kind of trash on it. And somehow that oil comes over here, goes through a hole over there, filters through here, and gets into this side. But this one you can't remove. And notice that when you change your oil, so here's the other side of the crankcase. And notice when you change the oil, if you see that, if you just use that drain plug, let me get something to point. Will this work? Got a clothespin. If you just use the drain plug right there, you notice how this oil is not going to be able to get over this lip right here. So that's kind of funny. There is that other little drain plug there. I guess when you pull that other, see those two filters go in right here. One of them goes here. This one you can't remove, and this one you can remove. It has a hole on that side. So I guess when you remove this filter, this screen filter here, that little bit of oil in here gets out, but there's still going to be oil puddled up right here. You're not really going to get all the oil out. I don't know why they made the drain plug. See, this is where that little drain plug is. You can see it back there. So that's why they put so many drain plugs. You got this one over here. This is the main drain plug. You got this filter drain plug, but you can't remove this filter that goes here. And then you have this little drain plug right in there. So when you change your oil, make sure you do all three of these to get all the oil out. So got the case apart, and it's almost like everything you do with this bike, you need a special tool. Special tool here, special tool there, special tool, special tool. So I got the crankcase apart, and you can see the film of dirty oil there. And it is the crank that is bad. It's this bearing on the crank. It is just gets stuck. It's not, I guess it destroyed itself. And then I got to clean these other bearings. I'm probably going to replace these two, because I'm sure they're not the best, you know. But this one does feel a little gritty. I don't know if it's just got stuff in there or what, but it would be worth just to replace them. You can probably find, you know, if you go to this part on the Suzuki website, these bearings are like $70. But this bearing is just a normal bearing, and you could probably find it for $14, $15 somewhere else, you know, if you just get the number off of it or the size and search for the bearing. But if it comes off like a Suzuki parts number, it's going to be expensive. And so this crank, that bearing there in the middle is Really, see there, it just got stuck. I mean, it's really grinding. Really bad. So I might just get a whole new crank, because one of those aftermarket cranks, because if I went and got the rod, the pin, and the bearing, that's going to be, you know, expensive right there. And then I got to pay someone to put it all together, and I don't know. I think I'd just find me another crank. And then you see how that bearing just got stuck again. It just grinded up. And then I got to check all these other bearings and everything, make sure nothing, all that trash, you see all that stuff in there, it didn't mess any of those other bearings up. And just go through it and clean it all up. But it probably gonna have to replace these. I mean, this one feels pretty good, but listen, it's a little, you know, I don't know if that's just that stuff in there or what, but it probably got damage to it, you know. And these feel real good, but I have to clean it up and then inspect them again. So what else? Just kind of tinkering with it here. I gotta get, see, when I was splitting the case, the crank wanted to come out on this side of the case, but see, I didn't take the clutch basket off because I needed a special tool for that. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna leave all that intact. And because I saw someone on YouTube leaving the clutch basket intact and pulling the case apart. But then I started noticing, well, this crank is not staying on this side, and I tapped on the crank this side, it wouldn't stay on this side. It wanted to leave this side and stay on this side. And then I started looking at the service manual, and they call for another, what's it called? Another tool that mounts here on this casing, and then it pushes the crank out. So I guess it's tighter on this bearing than it is on that bearing. So another special tool I need, it mounts here and then pushes on the crank and pushes it out. So I guess it's tight on that. I had to get that tool, the one tool, to get the magneto off. And now I need to get something to push this out. I tapped on a little bit, a little ball peen hammer, just, it ain't moving. It feels solid. I don't want to break this case, so I might have to get something that mounts on there and then pushes it off and do it that way. And then like this little filter here, stuck in there, this little screen filter, and there's two of them, one here, one there. And this one was here, and this one, you can't remove it. Stays there. It's always inside the case. This one comes out this side over here on the case, and you can clean it when you change the oil. This one, it's always there. Unless you split the case, you're not going to clean it. And somehow the oil, like when you pour the oil in the case, it has a little channel down here, and it goes through that channel and in this little filter here, the screen, and then screens through and then comes right out and then feeds the crank. This one does the same thing. But do you notice how the case is? This one is totally separate from this one. So that's weird. I don't know why they did that. Why would it need two? This oil screens oil for something. Didn't see where that one went. But that oil is in this gearbox oil. But this one screens the oil coming in, I think, to the crank. So that's what I'm just tinkering with it right now. Not haven't really gotten too far on it. I've been checking prices on gaskets and bearings and cranks and rods and pins, you know, and pistons. I might hone that cylinder, check the play, what's it called, the clearance on it, and see what kind of piston I might need. I don't know if that one, you know, the piston that came out of it, you know, it's not that bad. It mics, you know, at I think from what well, see, it doesn't really say the it just says the run out, you know, the service limit. It says in that manual, that service manual. It doesn't really say the exact size of the piston, but I'm thinking it's the what is it? The 3.0299 inch, which would be 76.96 millimeters. And I think that's the standard size. So if I hone that piston, they do now. I noticed, I remember a long time ago when I was rebuilding motorcycles and messing with motorcycles, when you would buy a piston, you could only get like a 5 over or a 10 over or something like that. Now they have them ABC, they call them ABC, and they're 0.01 millimeter steps. So that's pretty cool. So I can go, depending on how much honing I need on that cylinder, if I had to take out, you know, 0.002 or no, 0.02, I can get a step up piston all the way up to, let's see, what is that? They have them from 76.95 to 77.01. And what is it? What is that, 5 steps? So that's pretty neat, you know. And I think this stock one is the 76.96 millimeter is the stock size. And so if I have to go to a, you know, I was kind of putting on the calculator, I think from what they say, you know, the bore to clearance, bore to, what's it called, piston clearance is anywhere from 0.0014 to 1.6 or something like that. So I think if I get, I gotta, you know, double check everything, but I'm thinking that a 76 what is it, 98 will work, because that's pretty big step, you know, without doing a lot of honing. You know, I don't want to really, that cylinder doesn't need really a lot of honing. I just really need to break the glaze off of it. You know, it might have some little nicks here or there, but I'm just going to break the glaze. I don't want to sit there and hone it, you know, to another size. So that's another thing I got to do. So let's see. What else? Just got to get that crank off now. And then check these bearings, clean everything. I got everything else out on that table over here. And got to clean all these, just start cleaning all these parts, and then clean the motorcycle, you know, and start putting everything back together with the new parts. And you know, get in here and start inspecting the transmission and see if anything's wrong in there, any kind of bearings, and, you know, just go through the whole thing and start inspecting everything and go from there. But it's definitely going to need a crank, that's for sure. And they got this one that's called they had this hot rod one, and it's a 3 millimeter, it's called a stroker. And I was like, I don't want to mess with all that, you know. It messes with the stroke. It gives it a 3 millimeter boost in the stroke and brings it to a 264 cc, but then you have to get a different thinner piston, or, you know, a shorter piston. I was like, I don't want to mess with all that. Then I found the what's it called, a Pro X, which is actually, they say it's a better crank than that hot rod people have a lot of problems with that hot rod crank. And the Pro X is actually a Japanese part, so you know, you want to get Japanese bearings and all that stuff on here. You don't want to get no stuff like made in Taiwan and all that. You just ain't gonna. This Japanese stuff, you got to go for the Japanese stuff. The steel is just better, lasts longer, and I've known that for years working on motorcycles. You get any other kind of cheap parts, they just don't work. You either get the original part or find some other manufacturer that does the Japanese. So this Pro X one is a Japanese made crank. You know, it says Japanese right on the side of it and everything. So, and I didn't find any, you know, people talking really bad about that one. So that's the one I'm going to get. It's the cheapest way out, you know, as far as getting that crank done. And then I'll look at the bearings and everything. I just got to find the size. I got to take one of these bearings out to get the size of it. And if you just search, I think the brand is Koyo. And so I just got to get the size of it and search for that, you know. But if you look at that part number on one of the Suzuki dealer websites, it's going to be $70, when you can probably get it the same bearing for $14, $15. So what else? That's about it. So I guess I'm going to wrap this video up here. Just wanted to show you, if you own a Suzuki, what's it called, RMZ 250, or I guess the 450, you're going to change your oil. Make sure you do all those bolts down here. And that little screen filter, I mean, that's just kind of a weird setup. I never seen it, you know, usually an oil bolt dumps all the oil. This one has a little screw in there, that filter screw here, and then this other drain plug. That's kind of weird. I don't even know what the point with that drain plug was for. Just made this one the drain. They should have just made that one with the screen filter the drain plug. There's really no point in draining this one if you're going to remove this one. That's just another extra step. Just pull this one out, because this one drains all the oil, the one with the filter on it, and then remove that little, you see if you can see it back there, that little screw right there. Just remove that one. Really no sense in removing that one up there. All right, I guess I'm gonna wrap this up here. That's just a little bit of progress on the RMZ coming along. Just got to get that crank out now and clean all this stuff up. So I guess I'm gonna wrap this one up here. All right, I'm out.